And here we go. NBA Live Before Lock, Sunday, August 23rd. I am Josh Engleman. I'm joined by Zach Brunner. We are here to break down everything. It would probably help if I transitioned us off of the intro screen and actually showed our faces. But, you know, you're here for the info, not our gorgeous mugs. Zach, what's going on, man?
Not much. Just ready for some of these series to finally be over.
Yeah.
Not to be the basketball pessimist, but I'm sick of figuring out the Nets rotation.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Part of it's great. Like, there's something to be said for knowing, for the most part, each one of these teams is going to look pretty similar outside of a little bit of a tweak. Like, you can kind of get into a flow for each team, and then you get the teams like the Nets or the Magic where, you know, oh, Aaron Gordon's out, so is Gary Clark going to get 30 minutes? Is James Ennis going to get 30 minutes? Is Wes Iwundu going to get 30 minutes? Who will be the guy that jumps up to the top? That stuff gets annoying.
Yes, yeah, completely. And you're figuring out, you know, how long have these guys even been in the league? Because I don't even know how to pronounce their names.
Yeah.
But they're starting today.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. Well, lucky for us, this should be the last time that we have to break down the Nets roster. I don't get the sense that the Raptors are going to want to play them again. But, you know, weirder things have happened, especially if you played like last night's MMA slate. But that's neither here nor there. As you come in the door, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, notification bell, all that jazz. You guys know what you're getting out of me. 600 people, 70 likes. Let's just blow it out of the water right from the jump. We got a lot to talk about. We're starting with Philly, Boston, which is nice. I didn't really want the Raptors game to be game one. I didn't want to be done this show and then walk downstairs and be like, oh, cool. The game that I don't want to watch is on. So
right.
I think that there's one overarching thing that we need to touch on first, and that would be, what are you doing with Luka Doncic today? How are you managing his status?
I think he's going to play. And, you know, looking at ownership, it seems like everyone else is assuming that as well, unfortunately. I'm hoping we get a little bit of mixed reports before lock to drive that down, so I feel better about playing him. But if the ownership's going to stay high, I'm probably going to avoid him more often than not, just because, like, he's not a guy that relies on his athleticism anyway, but he needs to create his own shot.
Yes.
And if he has a bum ankle, you know, maybe he gets less space to shoot, which obviously isn't good at that price point.
So I am treating it the same way. I'm going to assume that he is playing. It would be really weird to assume the opposite, I think. Now, you can be muted in the way that you think his health will matter today, but for him to not play, that would just fully blow my mind in the playoffs. At the very least, I figure he's got like a brace and an injection and other sort of things that make you don't like not feel it. I would be surprised if he didn't at least give it a go. Now, if he can't make it through the game, totally different scenario. But I'd be shocked if he's not on the floor for the tip. Do you like him today? 10-8 on DraftKings, 10-5 on FanDuel, mid-30s in projected ownership.
I mean, I think he hits value. I think it would be very tough for him to have a ceiling game.
Yeah.
So I would rather play, you know, just take a shot that the Mavs get blown out or something and play someone like Seth Curry in relief of Luka's minutes, or maybe he does tweak his ankle. That's something where I would rather do.
Yeah, if he is mid-30s, I think it's pretty safe to come in lighter than that. And if he goes crazy, just sit back and enjoy it. Like, I'll never feel bad about missing on a stud in the situation, because if Luka goes crazy, it's going to be high entertainment from 3:30 till 6 o'clock at night.
Yeah, that's completely true.
Like,
at that point, become a fan again.
Right, like if I fade, I don't know, Trey Burke on a mildly chalky day and he goes crazy, that will irritate me. I'll never care if Luka goes nuts. It'll just, if he goes for 40 and 15 and 15 tonight, fun. I'll enjoy sitting on the couch and watching it. So who do you like if you're not going to Luka? Is it Joel Embiid? Is it one of the guys from the Clippers? Jason Tatum?
I don't mind Jason Tatum. My favorite play of all the studs is going to be Nikola Jokic again.
Okay.
Last game was his first off game against the Jazz the entire season. Every other year every other game, he's had 5 other games, and they were all 28-point double-doubles. And I'm just going to assume he goes back to that pattern today. Rudy Gobert can't guard him.
No.
Rudy Gobert is good in the paint. Jokic is going to space the floor. So I like him out of all the studs. I reluctantly like Paul George a little bit as well. But, I mean, let's see what happens.
I like Paul George as well, although I think his ownership is right about where it should be. So in games 1, 2, and 3, I had a ton. Game 4, I'll probably be neutral, which means it's the Paul George game. I like Kawhi Leonard quite a bit relative to his salary. I'm with you on the Nikola Jokic spot. Guys that I don't want to get to at the top, no real interest in Donovan Mitchell, no real interest in Porzingis. I think both of those guys are a little bit too expensive given what's around them. And yeah, if Luka at 10-8 for DraftKings, all the way at the top of the salary tier, is going to be the most owned guy, 9K or above, I'm just going to sit back, relax, and hope that he doesn't go nuts, because I just won't be there with that sort of volume. It's too hard.
Exactly.
Let's just hypothetically say Luka Doncic ends up ruled out at 3 o'clock. What is the first thing you want to do to the lineups that you already have? I assume it's jam in Kristaps Porzingis pretty aggressively.
Porzingis, and I want to make sure I get Hardaway. Right now I have almost no Hardaway.
Yeah.
With Luka out, I mean, he's going to shoot as much as he wants, even if he gets tougher defense.
Yeah.
He sees a pretty big usage bump. He sees, I think, about a 2 or 3% usage bump. I have it here.
I like Max.
Yeah,
I like Maxey
2.2.
in that scenario then too. Not that he's some sort of like guy that immediately benefits from Luka being out, but just I'll feel a lot safer with his minutes.
Right, his minutes, and he's going to at least get to shoot the ball a little bit. With Luka in there, he's forgotten. He's just a filler in the starting 5 essentially.
Do you think Trey Burke's ownership gets really crazy in that scenario?
I think whoever gets the start will.
Oh.
If it's Curry or if it's Burke, I think they're going to skyrocket. And then in that case, I would want to play the other one. Whoever's coming off the bench, I would like them.
Yeah. I don't know. It could even get sneaky with DeLon Wright, although it doesn't seem like that's a direction they've been trying to go all that much. Burke's going to take the shots in that scenario.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's roll back to the first game that we'll see. That will be Philly-Boston. Before we do, now I'm going to check the stats here. 1,200 people, 180 likes. We already know what to do. Just get it over 200 quickly. Hit that thumbs up. It helps us out a ton, and that one's an easy request. Philly-Boston. Is this series over today?
Yeah, it has to be. Yeah. Philly's good enough to get a win against Boston, but I don't think Brett Brown is. I don't know what he's doing.
No, he doesn't know what he's doing.
No, we can get into. He just keeps doing the same things, and they need offense. I don't know why they don't play Alec Burks a little bit, but it seems like his minutes are going down. They want to play him less, even though they need him more.
Yeah.
I don't know. Joel Embiid's gonna keep doing his thing, but I don't think it's gonna be enough.
I think I agree with you here. We're seeing a lot of ownership coming into Al Horford on FanDuel, where he's 5,200. Other than that, it's just a few guys in the 20s. How are you managing Shake Milton? Played a ton of minutes in Game 3. Do you think that sort of continues here?
I think it does continue. If I play him, I don't want Burks in that lineup. Yeah. I'm kind of going, if I want Burks, then I'm getting rid of Shake Milton. I would assume they even out a little bit today, but that's also assuming Brown does the smart thing. So, I mean, I don't know. I think both are good plays.
Okay.
Relative to their salaries. They're both, in the 4K range, but I'm not overly excited about either.
Are you overly excited about anything on Philly?
If it's cash games, I like Embiid, but besides that, no.
Yeah, I'm on the same page.
Okay too.
Yeah, Richardson probably, like, of the guys that aren't, pure studs like Embiid. It's hard to say like, I like Richardson more than Embiid. We're talking about two very different things.
Yeah,
I would go Milton, Richardson of the guys in the mid tier that I can go to. They would be the two guys that I like the most on DraftKings. Our sponsor for this show, SuperDraft, 1.2x multiplier on Joel Embiid. I've got him projected for 65 SuperDraft points. That is a spot that I would certainly like to get the big man from Philly. That's third for me. He is the third ranked guy on SuperDraft. Also up there in the rankings, Kemba Walker, 1.6x multiplier on SuperDraft. So if you're playing on SuperDraft today, Kemba Walker and Joel Embiid are the spots you want to look. What do you want to do with Boston otherwise? This is just a tough team to peg down in DFS.
It is. My favorite play in Boston will end up being Jaylen Brown just because of the minutes he played last game. He ended up playing 42. Stats didn't look great, but he put up 16 shots, made 6. You have to assume they'll shoot a little bit better, but at 42 minutes, potential sky high. So in GPP, I like him, even though his salary is, it's getting up there, 7,300 on DraftKings. It's not something I love, but potential's there.
Yeah, for right now, I don't get the sense that I'm going to have a ton coming out of Boston other than Kemba Walker. I just think 6,900 is too cheap. Ownership is already there. He's the most owned guy from Boston, but we just can't be having Kemba Walker be sub 7K. I don't have any issues with the minutes. Like, I have him in for 34. I think it's more likely that he goes north of that number than south of it, unless it's a blowout. Like, I don't think that he's limited in any way. I'm just trying to be a little bit pessimistic about his time. And even at 34, I'm going to get a ton. So Kemba's my guy on DraftKings, at least for today.
Yeah, I completely agree. He's going to get those minutes. He's not going to push for 40, I don't think, just because if Boston loses the game, who cares? They just need to win one more anyway. They're not going to kill him.
Yeah.
But, 6,900, you have to play him. He's too good.
Do you get to anybody like Smart or Tice, Cantor as a trying to get different play?
I'm okay with Cantor to get different. Tice, I'm just assuming he's going to continue racking up fouls against Embiid. I don't really need to play him.
Yeah.
Smart, again, he has the minutes, but he doesn't excite me. I'm pretty much just playing Tatum, Brown, and Kemba from this team. And again, not super high exposure.
Okay, so
except for Kemba on DraftKings.
We sort of touched on Dallas and the Clippers earlier in the Luka discussion. Let's just go to the Clippers for now. How are you separating Kawhi Leonard and Paul George? And is there anything else from the Clippers side that you're interested in?
Kawhi, I think, is priced kind of at his floor right now.
Yeah.
So the game stays close. I think he's going to be a good play. And Paul George, everyone who's been getting harassed kind of on social media lately in the NBA has ceiling games, the next time out.
Yeah.
Paul George isn't a stranger to playoff criticism by any means. But it seems like he's going to have to bounce back at some point. But like you said earlier, at that ownership, everyone's kind of on board, which makes me like it less. But
if Paul George can make a shot, it's going to be crazy.
Right. Yeah. He can't shoot it all right now.
Nah,
it makes no sense.
It's really bad. With that said, I have a really difficult time avoiding these two guys. I've been playing a lot of both of them for games 1, 2, and 3. And for right now, I'm expecting to do it again. To me, it's easier to get to Kawhi because he's less owned. But I think Paul George is at the very least appropriately owned. So I assume I'll be over the field on Kawhi, neutral on Paul George. What about the rest of these guys? Is it a Lou Will day? Marcus Morris? Do you think Montrezl Harrell gets more minutes today? Do you have any lean as to whether they go Shamet or Reggie Jackson?
I think they probably still start Shamet if Beverly's out, which it looks like he's going to be. But besides that, Harrell doesn't look like he's in good enough shape to play much more minutes right now.
Yep.
Lou Williams I don't love just because I would assume Clippers want to play some good defensive players today and just end the series, get it done with. Whether Luka's in or not, they're just going to lock down whoever is the number one scoring option. If Luka's out, they're just going to play defensive people because I don't think Dallas can keep up offensively anyway. And Lou's just been getting picked apart defensively.
Yeah.
I like Marcus Morris, but again, he's kind of priced. He's been really steady. He's been really steady lately, playing in the mid-30s for minutes. Usage isn't there, but I do like him. I'm playing a little bit too much of him, I feel like, but if he keeps doing his thing, I'm good with it.
I think he's going under-owned. We're only projecting 5%, or at least that's what was in the last run. I should check quickly now to see if we've had an ownership update since my last grab. Of course, I need to log back in. Why would I make this easy on myself? 11 plus 3 equals 14. Got to do math problems before I log in. Luckily, I'm good at those. Anything else you want to touch on from the Clippers?
Right now, though.
You have him at 18%, or we have his ownership at 18%?
I do.
Oh, okay. I don't have an issue with that.
No,
not at his low ownership. I mean, to take if he really is at 5, I don't think going 3x on him is outlandish or anything.
Yeah, I guess at 5.
At some point in time, you got to take some stands. I don't mind that stand.
Zubac's continue to be good in the bubble as well.
Yeah.
At 4,400, I think you need to have a little bit exposure to him. But he's one of those plays where if I need a salary saver, I'll play him. Otherwise, I'm not overly excited about him.
All right. Ownership did get updated a little bit ago. On refresh, Marcus Morris, 5.3%. So, yeah, I have no problem whatsoever with getting to 2.5, 3x of Marcus Morris. He's just going under owned in my opinion. One of the better leverages in that mid 5K range. Grading out similarly to me as maybe a little bit ahead of Jordan Clarkson with similar ownership. So I would rather go to Marcus Morris in that scenario.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Let's see, what else can we touch on here in this game? Ooh, got a super chat, and I think we got a different one earlier, and I missed it as we were going. Let me just double check. Yeah, so we got a super chat from Joe K. Right at the beginning of the stream, slipped through the cracks for me. Said thanks for working on Sunday. So you're quite welcome. Happy to be here. If there's sports, I want to talk about them. Days of the week don't matter. And then
at this point, no.
We got another Joe with the super chat. That one I actually did see, prompting me for this. He said, would it be a good option to stack up the guards today? Guys such as Lowry, Van Vliet, Walker, then build a roster for them. I mean, it's not a problem to me. I don't think about it like that. I do like Van Vliet today. Most of the guys at the top of Toronto, and obviously I do like Kemba Walker. So starting there for sure, not a problem. I don't have any problem looking at guards
in terms
today.
of roster construction, I don't mind about stacking guards. I think it could be interesting to stack certain games just to hope it goes into extra time or stays close.
Yeah.
In terms of the next game with the Nets, never know. But yeah, in terms of positions, it's okay.
All right. Let's hop over to game 3, the one that is, the least fun. Brooklyn Nets, Toronto Raptors. Let's get it out of the way now. Let's end this series, get the Raptors a couple days off, potentially.
Yeah.
How are you managing the Brooklyn side of this? LeVert in the 20s, TLC in the 20s, Jared Allen just shy of it, Garrett Temple getting a little bit of love. What stands out from Brooklyn?
Well, I mean, last time I was overweight on Jared Allen, and it's so frustrating because he grabbed 17 rebounds, doesn't record a shot attempt. I mean, he didn't even attempt one.
Incredible.
I still like him.
Yeah.
He's cheap enough. I like him. LeVert, I don't love at 8,200. I think without Joe Harris, it hurts him because he racks up those assists so quickly with Joe Harris. I don't think he's able to do that with TLC, who's obviously the chalk today. I like TLC. I think Tyler Johnson gets more minutes. Not that I want to be overweight on him by any means.
Sure.
Played 24 last game. Got taken out because of the blowout. I think he could play 27.
So Chris Chiozza is the guy that I'm getting to today. And I hate it. I hate it. I gave him 22 minutes. Or actually, I gave him 21 minutes. The problem is there's not a lot sub 4K. And
yeah,
that's sort of my conduit to picking up a little bit more value. I think the potential for him to play additional minutes is probably there, just in case this does get a little squirrely. So I don't hate it that much, but he's just shy of a 1 fantasy point per minute guy. I think I'm willing to take that risk. The most important thing to me, we have him at 5%, and that's just one of the spots where I'm trying to be a little bit different. Sort of like your Marcus Morris scenario. If he's at 5% right now, I like the idea of going a little bit heavy on a couple of those guys. You're going to need one or two of them to really get to the top on a day like today.
I agree. And, is there a scenario where Tyler Johnson gets into foul trouble because, he's over aggressive and doesn't play good defense?
I hope.
And Chiozza would come right in.
I hope
soak up
so.
those minutes.
Cameron,
His minutes are safe.
Cameron, I saw your super chat. Once we get to the Utah game, we will hit on Conley for you. Yeah, I see no reason not to go to TLC. It's funny. He's become like, I don't look at him like he's him now, because he's basically like a very different version of TLC, playing 34 minutes a game and shooting and doing all of these different things. It's a good find for Brooklyn. Like, I expect him to be a rotation guy, maybe moving forward, more so than I was expecting before. Let's try the Toronto side. If you're picking between the top three, Lowry, Siakam, Van Vliet, what stands out most?
Van Vliet. I just think his ceiling's higher than everybody else's. He's playing better offensively, more aggressively than the other two. Siakam just doesn't excite me right now. He's playing solid basketball, but he's not playing solid DFS basketball, if that makes sense.
Yeah, he's a lot like Bam right now, who I think is playing really well for the Heat, but it doesn't really have any sort of major benefits from a DFS perspective. He's just sort of doing everything you need, and the team is winning, so you can only be so mad. I like Van Vliet here, though, more so than anybody else. What about the mid-tier guys? Is it a Norm Powell day? Is it an OG Anunoby day? Are you flipping any coins on Ibaka or Gasol?
I like Ibaka when he gets minutes and, he's not in foul trouble and stuff like that. He's been really good. Last game put up 43 TK points. He's been, I have it written here, 1.33 fantasy points per minute this series.
Yeah.
I like him. He's not going to get 30 minutes by any means, but I think he's decent.
Oh man, this getting the second half of Toronto right is so tricky. I cannot stop getting to OG Anunoby. He is just fully not involved offensively. I believe he has a 9% usage rate in the first 3 games against the Nets. I don't get the sense that he's going to be going out there gunning again today. That said, given the minutes that I haven't projected for, I'll at least be neutral to OG Anunoby. Oh God, I feel like I'm an announcer that has just seen his name for the first time. I'm a little lighter on Norm Powell. I'm staying away from Marc Gasol in general, although I will have a few shares just in case. I don't want him to go crazy and finally pay off after 3 days of me getting just bludgeoned because of him. He does not look good in this series, and this is the series that he should look good in because the Nets are not great. He looks old and slow and unable to defend, and that's not what you're looking for. This is also not the series that he should be playing. Marc Gasol exists so that you can play against Joel Embiid, who is going to go home anyway.
Right, exactly.
Let's hit on this final game, and then we could circle back to that super chat. Utah and Denver. So let's just start here before we go into our actual thoughts. How do you feel about Mike Conley today? 6,200 on FanDuel, 38% ownership there as well. 6,300 on DraftKings, a little bit less ownership. You going to Conley?
I'll have some of them. I'll be underweight compared to the field. He came in, he continued to play aggressive. I was wondering if he would come in emotional and, shoot a bunch and maybe miss because of that off time. But he played really well. He only played 25 minutes because of that blowout. I think he's a solid play at 6,300. I just don't want to. I'm not going to be overweight just because it's Mike Conley and I know he can go cold really quick. But again, tournament, I like cash games. I don't know. I think there's other guys you can get to for cash games.
Yeah, I have him as a relatively neutral play. I'm going to be a little bit lighter on Ingles, a little bit lighter on Gobert. I see the value still in Royce O'Neal, although I think it's a little bit different now with Conley back. I just think that everybody from Utah is pretty much priced where they should be, or they're a tad high because of Conley being out and everybody picking up a little bit of additional salary. So for me, Utah's not an easy team to get to. I'm looking to go back to Denver. Jokic, I'd like to go to Jamal Murray again. His usage rate has been great in these 3 games. He did what I want him to do in game 1, not so much in game 2 and 3. I'm hoping he can recover here. And I'll probably have a couple shares of the fully washed Paul Millsap for the 3rd straight game in this series, which has gone very poorly so far, and I expect it to go poorly again. What do you like from Denver?
I agree with Jamal Murray, and he was good last game on a per minute. It was just a blowout.
Yeah.
So if the game stays close, I think he's going to be good again. I'm not getting there on Paul Millsap like you. I'm just hands off. I can't do it.
I get it.
It'll be interesting.
0.8 fantasy points in his last 30 days per minute. I would expect him to be a 1 fantasy point per minute guy. So a 20% reduction in output is not stellar.
No, especially with no minutes on top of it.
Well, see, that's the tricky part here. Because the minutes sort of are there. That he's just bad. Like, he played a normal rotation-ish to start. He picked up 2 fouls, but he played his first quarter rotation. He played another 7.5 minutes at the end of the second quarter and came right back out with the starters again at the beginning of the third quarter. They just never saw the floor again in the fourth because the game was long since over. So I try to set it up where I won't do more than 2 of Porter, Millsap, Grant. Somebody's going to be like the odd man out of that sort of trio. So I set that kind of rule. But otherwise, I'm going to take one last shot on Paul Millsap. Come join me, guys, if you want to hate him once again. Brutal. My crunch is almost done, too. We'll find out how much I actually get.
Do you think they keep Porter on the bench to start this game?
Probably. He's so bad defensively.
Horrible.
I mean, look, I would say that Porter, more than anybody on the Nuggets, is subject to how this game is going. If they need offense, Paul Millsap's going to park his ass, and they're going to go to Porter. Defense be damned. If they're winning, I can't imagine unless Porter is shooting the lights out and playing his way into it, he's gone, and they're going to one of Grant or Millsap from a defensive stance. He's so good on offense and that bad on defense. So I think the game script for Porter is more important than probably any other game script for any guy on the slate.
Yeah, I would agree. And because I do think Porter is going to start the game on the bench, I do have shares of Grant just to hope he can get back to that game 1 kind of aggressiveness offensively as well, but not overly excited. But with Porter off the floor, you would think that Murray, Jokic shoot a little bit more, which I like.
Yeah. And another rule for Denver, I set max 2 of 3, Jokic, Murray, Porter, 3 guys relying on usage. I don't get the sense that I can get all 3 of them there. And if I miss out on that one, fine by me. Nikola Jokic, 1.3x multiplier on the sponsor for today, SuperDraft. 1.45 on Donovan Mitchell. Just monstrous numbers on these guys. Sift through Utah for me, and then we can take a couple questions. Where are you going on Utah? Other than Conley, if you want to get a couple shares, since we already touched on him.
Like we said before with Mitchell's salary, I mean, you can't touch him on DraftKings at 9,500.
No, that's impossible.
You can get there. Rudy Gobert, I'm coming in underweight just because I just think Denver has to step up their defense today. It seems like that's been the case every game, but he can't get open dunks every single time. It doesn't seem possible.
Apparently he can. At least it seems like he can. He certainly could in game 3, that's for sure. Every time I looked, it was like, oh, Rudy Gobert rebound. Rudy Gobert free to the hoop. Over and over and over again.
I keep getting to Royce O'Neal just because of his salary.
Same.
Unexciting option. I don't really like Clarkson. He becomes even more scoring dependent with Connolly back, and his salary has stayed the same, essentially.
Shake Milton starting, by the way. Shake Milton, Richardson, Harris, Horford, and Embiid. So that's where we're at right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I was expecting it. So cool. Yeah, I'm with you on Royce O'Neal, unfortunately. Guy that grades out pretty well. Although at 27% ownership, he's probably going a little higher owned than I would have liked. Oh, God. Highest owned guy that I have right now that I'm paying up for is Kawhi Leonard. Crunch is officially done, so let's just put that out there now, too.
Mine's still Jokic right now.
All right. We have 1,840 people in here, which is kind of sick for Sunday at 12:30. We're at the halfway point. One last shout out. Go ahead and hit that thumbs up if you can. Helps us out a ton. I definitely want over 500 now. That should be a no-brainer. If you're not all that interested in basketball, but you're still listening to us for some strange reason, MLB ownership projections are free today. So if you're dipping your toe into the MLB waters, you can check out our ownership for free. Just go to awesemo.com for that. Or if you just want to sign up at awesemo.com, promo code for you is very good for today. Promo code is Mamba. You get a week of Awesemo Plus for $8.24. Obviously, Kobe's jersey numbers. Happy birthday to the man. But tomorrow is Mamba Day. That coupon code will end tomorrow. So if you haven't gotten in with it yet, MAMBA, use that promo code to get an Awesemo Plus weekly package for 50% off. That's $8.24. Anybody that we haven't touched on, anybody that you want to get a take in on for right now?
I don't think I love Porzingis as much if Luka is actually out today.
Oh, okay. Talk to me about it.
I think Clippers are going to swarm him, as they should. Because if they get Porzingis off his game, they have zero chance then. There's nothing.
His ownership is going to, I don't want to say go through the roof because you'll be limited in sort of the ways that you can swap. So it can only go so high. But he's going to become very popular if Luka Doncic gets ruled out and people have time enough to get to it.
Which makes sense. His salary is, priced nicely.
Yeah.
But it makes an easy pivot to Jokic, and I would much, much rather do that.
That works for me. Premium Slack. Go ahead and get your questions in. YouTube chat, feel free to get your questions in. Premium Slack gets the preference, but if you got a good one in YouTube, you will float to the top, I promise. All right, let's resort these lineups. Too much bunch of guys that are not fun to roster, that's for sure. I also, that was close. So I'm in a fantasy postseason league where you pick one guy each day. You get a point for points, rebounds, assists, steals, blocks. Everything's just 1 point for all of those stats. And you can only pick somebody once. So once you have somebody, they're dead. And if they're out of the playoffs, then you don't get to pick them either. And I just realized that I have not made my pick yet today. So I need to get that bad boy in right now. So let's see here. Who should I go with? Certainly not going with Luka in that spot. That's scary. No Kawhi. He's going to keep playing. I think I'm going to be going Embiid. Or did I take him already? I did not. So to me, no brainer. Joel Embiid's got to be the play for today. I get the sense that he's going to be pretty popular too. I'm hoping people already picked him. It's a tricky contest, man. Tricky contest. Been playing it for almost 10 years now.
Oh wow!
It used to be on NBA.com, and then like 4 or 5 years ago they got rid of it. Like other people would do, like Shaq would have a pick each day, or I'm picking random people, but like legends would also be involved. And if you beat a couple of those guys, you won prizes, and then they just sort of got rid of it, which is kind of a bummer.
Yeah, now that you say that, I remember doing that at NBA.com.
Yeah,
back in either early college or high school.
Yeah, I want to say that we've been at a different, like some random fantasy site that tracks this stuff for like 4 or 5 years now. All right, questions are coming in, so let's take a look. On FanDuel, Jaylen Brown and Marcus Morris or Tobias and Royce? I
would rather go Brown and Morris.
Yeah, we are on the same page for that one. Thoughts on the minute split between Zubac and Harrell? I'm adding they keep doing what's working. I don't know what that means. Thoughts on the minute split between Zubac and Harrell?
I think they may remain pretty much the same. Doc Rivers has been pretty vocal on what he thinks of Harrell. They want to play him, but he's just not there.
Yeah.
And if he's not in shape, they're not going to push him for minutes today. It just doesn't make sense to. Yeah. They'll just try to end the series and run his ass off over the next few days and get him a little bit into shape.
Yeah, they have no reason to go crazy with him. Like, this is a marathon, not a sprint. They need to be the tortoise, not the hare. Oh, wow, that just came to me. That was good. I should get that on a t-shirt or something. Let's see what else we have here. Okay, so Tim in Premium Slack said that I said Paul George was appropriately owned at 30%, and I'm right there with that. Does that mean that I'm going to have 30% in exposure to him, or am I going over or under? I would expect to be somewhere around the field. The sorting process will move some stuff around, but if I have a guy that I think is like a top 8 guy 30% of the time and he's 30% owned, I'm probably going to be somewhere in like that 25 to 35 range, unless there's just wild value bookending him in price, but there's not. So I assume I have like 30% Paul George.
Yeah, I agree. Especially he just comes in at the bottom of the salary of that top tier in a way, if you want to consider Paul George top tier player.
He does.
Yes, he does. You are right.
The baller in chat said, Josh, share your lineup after lock. I will have 150 of them. So I'll happily share one of them if you'd like.
Flood your feed.
Yeah. Clarkson, or do we feel safe enough for Burke or Shamet? I definitely don't feel safe enough for Burke. That much I can tell you.
No. They're different prices too. I mean, if you can get to somebody else by going to Shamet, go for it. I don't love Clarkson today by any means. I wouldn't try to get up to him.
No, neither would I.
That's the scenario.
Now, Mike Conley being back really kind of nerfs the crazy upside of Clarkson.
Yeah.
All right, this could be my final little refresh here. Oh, that's perfect. I like the color of all of those numbers. Kawhi Leonard at the top of the exposure. That I can handle. Does Tatum seem like a good pivot from Kristaps Porzingis on FanDuel?
Yeah.
I think so.
Hopefully people get off him a little bit just because of last game, but the ceiling game's still there. He should be good.
Where the hell is his name? Do I have this filtered? Yep, missing that time. Look, Jason Tatum's not even showing up. I actually prefer Tatum to Kristaps Porzingis on FanDuel. So, yeah, that is very much a great pivot in my opinion. Now, obviously, if Kristaps Porzingis ends up being the star of the Dallas show today and Luka Doncic ends up out, I'm going to prefer Porzingis for sure. But not right now. Not right now. Shake Milton or Tyler Johnson in a FanDuel GPP?
Wow. We're at this point?
Evidently.
I think I like Tyler Johnson in that scenario.
I'm going to go Shake Milton, but it's not like I'm wildly confident in the words that are coming out of my mouth.
Yeah, I think there's a greater chance that Tyler Johnson blows up today than Shake Milton. I think Shake Milton's going to have a decent game. His floor is definitely higher, but that's about it.
Yeah, we're on the same page there. Tyler Johnson, like they could just be like, have at it, man, if it starts off well, but they're still down 30. So,
yeah,
there's no telling. All right, let's save that template and at least get some dummy lineups in for DraftKings. Had some dummy lineups going in MMA last night. I finished my crunches, finished up everything, uploaded the lineups, knew that I did it, walked away. I opened my phone. The first fight last night was a pretty big upset, and first lineup I looked at had this person. I don't even remember the names. Last night was all create a fighter type idiots. And I was like, ooh, 90 points, 10% owned? Like, let's see how much I have. I look it up. I was like, 0.7%, which means I had one lineup out of 150. I was like, what are the chances that I just opened up this lineup on the one that has this person? And then I realized that all 150 of my scores were the same. Turns out I re-uploaded my NBA upload template and not my MMA template. So I left my dummy in there. That dummy had the upset in fight one, and I didn't have any of the people that weren't on the card any longer. So I was like, okay, I got 100% of a huge upset 10% owned person. Like, there's a chance that I run this out on a 9-fight card and bink this bad boy with a 150 lineup train. Didn't happen. Went 3 for 3 in the fights. Didn't make a single cent of profit. But That's why you should set a legitimate dummy lineup always, because I didn't. I picked 6 random people. I left wild amounts of salary on the table, which was actually okay given the slate, but always make sure you're uploading the right upload sheet, guys. What a dumpster fire that ended up being. We have 19 minutes until lock, so you really want to start dialing in your process right now. 1,850 people and 500 likes. I can't even ask again. You guys are doing a fantastic job of being the fans of this show. I greatly appreciate all of you. So we'll get back to questions. Who do you prefer at center today on DraftKings, Embiid or Jokic? I think we've both hit on this one.
Yep, I keep saying his name, and I wrote about it in the Boom Bust this morning. I wrote about it in the betting stuff I've been doing. I like Jokic today. I think he has a ceiling game.
I have Jokic grading out at a slightly higher rate. They're both projected for similar ownership. I think Embiid's ceiling is higher. But, how often do you think you get 38 minutes of fully invested Joel Embiid? How bad does Joel Embiid want to play Game 5? That's how much you should like Joel Embiid. Because if you think that his entire goal is to play Game 5, I'd rather have Joel Embiid than Nikola Jokic. But that's like a 5% outcome as far as I'm concerned. If it doesn't go well in the first quarter, he might just start not giving a single shit.
Agreed. Here's a question. Are the Nets starters, are their minutes safe today? If it's a blowout, do they care? Do they just keep playing LeVert and everybody else normal minutes?
I think they play all the way through like the early to mid part of the fourth quarter, no matter what. You might see LeVert and Allen come out there for like that first 3 to 4 minute stretch of the fourth quarter, and if it's over at that point in time, I think that's when they'll cede their court time. I think it's relatively safe. I think Karis LeVert plays 30 minutes pretty much no matter what. Garrett Temple plays 30 minutes no matter what. TLC the same. Jared Allen could be limited because he's the only guy that could actually foul trouble can creep up on him too. But he's going to use all 6 of them. I'd be shocked if he didn't.
Yes, he will. He'll get him in.
Do you like Gobert for FanDuel cash?
What's his price?
Yes. I would rather go to Jared Allen in FanDuel cash.
Yeah.
I don't think that any one of Embiid, Jokic, Gobert, or Jared Allen are wrong on FanDuel for a cash, depending on what the rest of your lineup ends up looking like. Those guys are getting it's between 15 and 25% ownership. They're making up 85% of all center ownership on FanDuel. I think any one of those guys is essentially in play as a cash center. I think Jokic would be my priority, but if that means that puts you on something pretty ugly at a different position, I think that you can safely move around.
I agree with that.
Let's see what else we have. Smart or Ingles, last man in on DK cash.
Ooh. I think I'd go Ingles today.
Yeah, I would go Ingles as well. Have him a little bit ahead, picking up more ownership as well. I think that makes for a slightly better cash gameplay.
Yeah.
OG and Royce or TLC and Shamit in a DK single entry.
Wow. I'm leaning towards TLC and Shamit. I don't feel good about saying that. I think Shamit's going to have a similar workload to last game, assuming Beverly's out, which means, fairly safe minutes, safe floor. And then TLC has a better ceiling. That's where I'm at.
So this one's hilarious. I have the midway point in ownership between TLC and Shamit on O'Neal and Anunoby. So it looks like they all add up to the same amount of value, but I do not have any Landry Shamit. I do have mid-20s in ownership on O'Neal and Anunoby, so I would be more likely to go to Royce O'Neal and Anunoby just because there are 3 people in that equation that I have and 1 that I don't. So I have to ignore the group of 2 that for where I don't have Landry Shamit.
Sure.
Let's see. What else do we have? We'll hit one from YouTube chat. Let's see here now. Let me give before we keep going into another question, let me hit my top 5 guys on SuperDraft for today. I want to make sure we give them their due. Top 5 guys on SuperDraft. Kawhi Leonard, Nikola Jokic, Joel Embiid, Donovan Mitchell, Paul George. That's my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on SuperDraft for right now. I know there's probably people that haven't played at SuperDraft yet. Like, you can't play 5 straight studs, dummy. Yes, you can. There are no salaries. You have multipliers. You can roster whoever you want. It's full lineup freedom. No limits, more winning. SuperDraft.io. Go to the App Store. I'll hit all of the key tenants. I could do this one in my sleep. Thoughts on Finney Smith as a pivot to OG? I don't know which site, but I understand like the conception of that.
Pivot to OG?
Pivot from OG.
I like Finney Smith a lot more if Luka's out.
Yeah.
We've seen his shots go up and usage go up with Luka out. With Luka in, I think he's essentially the same type of player as OG, but we've seen OG hit his ceiling slightly more, so I'd lean towards him. But it's a good pivot.
Yeah, I don't think that OG is picking up enough ownership for it to be problematic, and I have OG grading out a little bit better than DFS, more so than the ownership difference. So it's not the wrong pivot. I think you can just make a better one somewhere else. Let's see. Millsap or Grant in a DK GPP? Yeah, great. I can't answer this one. I shouldn't be allowed to participate in Paul Millsap questions.
It's Grant for me every time. Yeah. Millsap should have a good game. They should play Millsap a lot. He should step up. He hasn't yet. We've seen Grant do something, and I would assume Grant gets a lot of minutes today, just because, Porter's been so bad defensively. So bad. They can't keep him up there.
My answer is Paul Millsap. I think you should take that with the tiniest grain of salt possible. I mean, we are getting down to like protons and neutrons and electrons and stuff. As small as it gets, my answer is Paul Millsap. Look, if I say Paul Millsap for every game that Denver plays for the rest of his life, I'm bound to be right eventually. Blind squirrel finds a nut every now and again.
Might be 2 more.
Yeah, he's. I don't get the sense that he's going to be back. Thoughts on Jared Allen for SuperDraft cash? Nate, I have no concept of SuperDraft ownership. I have Jared Allen 7th on SuperDraft. So at the very least, I could tell you that I like Jared Allen on SuperDraft. Whether or not that makes him cashy, I don't know. I've never dug into ownership to know if you're playing Jared Allen and he's a 1%er, then you don't want him.
I would assume he's pretty low owned in cash on there, just because why would people gravitate towards the team that's going to get blown out? That would be my guess.
1.6x multiplier, so that's helpful for sure.
Yeah.
I can't dig into SuperDraft cash. So I'd be giving you. I just don't want to give you information that I don't have. All I can say is that Jared Allen looks good on paper. DK Cash 3-fer. You're the worst. Lou, Kawhi, Trez. So no. Conley, J. Rich, PG-13. Yeah, it's Conley, J. Rich, PG-13 because I would not do Lou, Kawhi, and Trez.
Agreed.
Yeah. If Montrezl Harrell was suddenly healthy and playing 29 minutes, maybe. But at the same time, man, you need a really specific Clippers outcome for those 3 guys to be going nuts. Especially if Lou and Trez go.
Right.
That's just not going to involve Kawhi unless he's getting a crazy stock game. So Conley, J. Rich, and PG-13 for me. Let's see. 12:50. We still have 10 more minutes. Man, this is excellent. Tons of questions coming in. People are starting to slide on out of here as they go to finalize their lineups in this final 10 minutes. But since we still have 1,700, I'm not going to ask again. 570 likes is just incredible. What can you guys do? How high can we make that number? We're on uncharted territory here. This is a big show for Sunday. You guys have been phenomenal. I wish that there was something else I could answer right now that would give you guys the sort of value you're looking for on those likes. Whatever I can do to make that number go higher, I'm in. Milton or Shamit?
Milton, for sure.
I don't want to reward you for this one, Justo, but for some reason, those red exclamation points stood out to me in chat. If everybody does it, it's a bad idea. But for right now, it worked. Richardson, Ingles, or Clarkson? I don't have a site, so.
Yeah, that's true.
Draft Street.
In a vacuum, I like Richardson the most out of those three.
Pulling up my table to try to figure out where they are relative to each other. What the hell is Josh Richardson's salary? There he is. Okay, Richardson, Ingles, Clarkson. Okay, so it's Richardson for me. Ingles a close second. Clarkson not in the same stratosphere. Murray and Brown or Conley and Siakam in a FanDuel GPP?
Ooh. I like Murray and Brown. I've been on both of them today anyway. But yeah, that's a good one, actually. That's a good question.
I agree. I'm very high on Jamal Murray. So that would be the direction that I would go. 8 more minutes, everybody. Get those lineups in and make sure you're uploading the correct sports upload template if that's what you're doing. Learn from my mistakes. I am here to serve you guys. Let's see. How much exposure do I have to this first game? I am a little bit over the field on Philly and under the field on Boston as a whole. That's scary. Real scary. But that's Boston for you. It could literally be anybody. They have too many options.
Yeah.
Let's see. Fred VanVleet on SuperDraft, 1.45 multiplier. Let's see where I have him. Fred VanVleet is right after Jared Allen. That's funny. Fred VanVleet, my number 8 play on SuperDraft. So yes, very much advocate for Fred VanVleet on SuperDraft. Do you prefer Josh Richardson or Garrett Temple? A lot of Josh Richardson questions today.
He's an interesting price. Josh Richardson, though.
Yeah. I have him.
Both are similar, though.
I have it as Richardson pretty firmly. I have a lot more Richardson, and I'm under the field on Temple for right now. I don't ever get Garrett Temple right. The only person I know that gets Garrett Temple right would be Ship My Money, who has had dreams about Garrett Temple. I am not making that up. That's real. That is on a show somewhere in the history of these shows. Hey Josh, locked Kawhi. Good idea. I mean, if I were going to have 100% of anybody that I was paying up for today, it would be Kawhi Leonard. I don't lock anybody. So, sort of. It's a great idea if it's right. How about that? Just the answer I'm sure you were looking for, the person that asked that question. Murray or Walker FanDuel single entry. That one gets a little tricky.
Let's see.
They might as well be the same person on FanDuel today.
Yeah, they are.
I have them separated by 0.4 of a point.
Yeah, I would lean Kemba. It's very, very close.
I would maybe try to use the rest of my lineup as sort of a decision point too. Like if you happen to be already on a couple Nuggets or already on a couple Celtics, I think you could pretty naturally just go to the other side of it. Because to me, these guys are the exact same person on FanDuel. But Kemba's $200 more expensive, and I have projected for 0.4 of a point more. So it's about as equal as it's ever going to get.
Yeah.
Millsap seems like he will have one of those games. Person in YouTube chat that just said that, I don't know who you are, but I've never wanted you to be right more in my entire life.
You should.
Yeah. I'm hoping, man. I'm hoping. What else do we have? Didn't get my questions answered, but thanks for the show. Young Wizzy, let me see if I can scroll up and figure out where you asked the question. Here we go. Milton or Curry in a FanDuel GPP?
Ooh. I think I'd go Curry, actually. Just hoping for extended minutes for him. Whatever scenario happens, that's what I'm leaning towards. Milton, I don't think there's a scenario where he gets a ton of run at the end of the game.
Yeah, I would... if I'm in a GPP, I'm going to Curry in that spot. Jack Perry, hashtag ketchup on eggs. What's your opinions on reasonable Shake Burks ownership in a DK20 max? Not much Burks for me. More Shake. I don't know, 5-6 lineups. But honestly, if you're eating ketchup on your eggs, you don't deserve an answer to these questions.
Ooh.
Are you a ketchup on eggs guy?
No, but you know, I'm playing to the audience right now.
Don't do it. Don't do it. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. Dave Loughran should be fired from this website for advocating for it and for getting a t-shirt made of it. Thoughts on JJ Barea if Luka doesn't go? I don't know. You got to know that he's starting first and foremost. Rick Carlisle is every once in a while, JJ Barea is just going to show up and play 22 minutes and be like a 1.7 fantasy point per minute guy. Maybe. It's impossible to give that answer right now. He could play 0 minutes or, 4 rotations of 6, and I'd be like, okay, I believe it. These are all super. These are all super chats, by the way. Jack Perry, super chat. Thank you. Wow. Zach Gerhardt, super chat. Thank you. Justin Morrell, rank Lowry, Murray, Kemba. Also, thank you for the super chat. Lowry, Murray, Kemba, FanDuel. They are the top 3 guys in salary at point guard. God, they're like.
I would go the opposite. I'd go Kemba, Murray, Lowry.
Yeah, Lowry's going to be last for me for sure. He's picking up the most ownership. So I'm going to go Murray, Walker, Lowry. But I think Kemba and Murray are like a hair ahead of Lowry. Just all things considered. 2 minutes. EMAC hitting us with the 2-minute warning in chat too. Guys, get those lineups in. 640 likes. I love you guys. Fantastic. Fantastic crowd today. It's going to be a good slate. I can feel it. You feeling confident?
Yeah. I think so. I mean, the only thing that could really turn this slate upside down is if Luka gets ruled out immediately before lock of that game.
That's what Carlisle said. He was like, I don't think we'll know until immediately before lock. It's like, cool, man. Thanks. Thanks.
I'm sure they won't have any idea.
Oh, I'm not looking forward to that one at all. I really just want Luka to be in so that I don't have to recrunch. I don't want to go through the work. I'm just not interested. Well, we are coming up to lock now. 30 seconds. If you don't have your lineups in, stop listening to me speak and go to one of the upload sheets and get that stuff in. For real. Josh, Emax said you have an OnlyFans reliable source. Only one way to find out, my man. Only one way to find out. You should look around. It's really easy to tarp off this entire office. The lights are already set up. I'll be in great shape. Kioza and Johnson, same lineup on DK. I mean, how many lineups do you have? If that's one of 150, then I don't really mind. If that's the only lineup you're playing, don't do it.
Yeah, I'd rather go either or with those two.
Yeah, and that's always... For those sorts of questions, it's always really important to know how much you're playing together. Because in the grand scheme of things, if you're talking about one lineup that shows up out of 150, I'll never really mind unless it's like Jokic plus Plumlee or something along those lines. Those two guys can just play together. Who the hell knows? Yeah, I would go one or the other. But we're locked. It doesn't matter now. It's game time. It's time to go watch... It's time to watch the Philadelphia 76ers go home. It's time to watch Brett Brown lose his job over the course of 2 hours. It should be a blast. Yes. Zach, anything else you want to touch on?
No. Hopefully it's a good day of basketball at least. Not too many blowouts.
I'm excited to watch that Dallas Clippers game. I hope that Luka Doncic can play and be healthy. So we shall see. Chat, thank you for being here. It's fantastic to have you. You were an incredible chat for today. I will be back tomorrow morning with Ship My Money to break down tomorrow's NBA slate. Contenders video will also be back up tomorrow. Zach, what do you got on the site? What can we plug for you?
Every single day we got the boom bust for DFS, and we have NBA betting content every day as well. 2 games every single day. Prop bets, trends, everything going with that. Check those out. We've been doing good.
Head to the NBA section of the site. Go check out Zach's betting content. And thank you guys for joining us. This was a fun show. Best of luck to everybody. We're getting out of here. Have a good close to your weekend. Peace out.